All right.
All right.
All right.
All right, we're back. First thing that I wanted to let everyone know is we are going to be having a bowl session on Saturday at 6:30. It's going to be a free Facebook Live event, and I'm going to be playing the bowls, setting certain intentions for healing. So we're going to include Reiki healing, the sound healing. I'm just going to kind of see the messages that come up as I play the bowls. But we are asking anyone who has Reiki, does Reiki, to also share that with the group. And if anyone has requests for Reiki healing or would like to offer Reiki healing, please let us know, and we'd like to have that all set for Saturday, 6:30 p.m. It's going to be beautiful. I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that coming up. Right now we are still offering the acupuncture, the remote sessions with the Zyto scanning, remote sessions with Melissa for the Akashic record readings. Monica's doing oils, blends and sessions. Carol and Angelica are doing mediumship, and people are really taking advantage of those and loving those. So if you have any questions about that, please call and let us know.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else? Am I forgetting anything else coming up, sir?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. So today we are going to be talking about mirrors. And one of the things that we've noticed is a lot of times in our lives, we get to use life experiences, disagreements that maybe we get into with coworkers, incidences that happen just in our day-to-day lives. We get to use all of these situations as mirrors to reflect to us what it is that is bothering us inside. And then this situation appears, and we might get angry about it, ask, why did that happen? And all that's happening is there's a piece of your soul that has been triggered, and now we're seeing it reflected in this experience in life. And so we wanted to give some tools and some information about what that is and how to use mirrors. The thing is, right now, is a lot of our mirrors are gone because we're in isolation. So, but our soul still has these questions, these triggers, everything that's going on, but the ones triggering it are family now, closest family. And so we wanted to do this as a way to understand, help you understand why these issues are coming up, what you can do to help them, and how you can release whoever it is that is on the other end of that, so that you can see that this is still all for you. And these moments that happen, they're, hi Dad,
Hi, Victor.
they're just being presented to you, but now it's through very, very close people to us who are supposed to understand us, who are supposed to stick up for us, not get mad at us. And it ends up getting a little bit more difficult because we're not seeing that this is still our issue and something that we can use to work on to help mend these relationships as well. And then thank the people in our lives for being there to reflect this to us.
Mm-hmm. So with that, we use mirrors to see ourselves, but what we are seeing is based on what we are looking for. So if we're triggered, then that's what we're going to be seeing in the mirror, is this trigger. With what you said with releasing the person who triggered you, absolutely, they are showing you a part of your self that needs to be seen in this mirror. But when you can look at it through, like the words we're using are true reflection. Your true reflection would be what your higher self sees, or somebody who looks up to you sees, These are all parts of you that are true. The other parts of the mirror are I call them like fear eyes, like trigger eyes. So you're seeing what you're being presented with in your reality through these triggers, through these fear eyes, because fear in this would just be the lack of love. It doesn't have to be anything dense or heavy. It's just a place where there is a lack of love. And I always think that talking about fear as just a place where there needs to be love makes the fear seem less heavy, more manageable, able to work through instead of hold you back. So when we use our mirrors to see ourselves based on our current situation or triggers, we are seeing through the eyes of where there needs to be love. We can call them like rose-colored glasses or whatever you want to call them. But when we release these people as our mirrors, we can see our true reflection, and that's where we can start to understand why we're seeing this part of ourselves and how we can go forward from here and how we can see through our true reflection instead of just our fear eyes.
Hi, Rita.
Hi, Rita.
So some of the things that we were wondering then are all of these superstitions about mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you break a mirror, it's 7 years bad luck, is what they say. And for me, that number 7 has a lot to do with our soul, the different parts of our soul. So the 7 chakras, which within each of those is a different emotion and a different type of fear or lack of love that can get created within all of those. And so the mirrors, even when someone dies, some people cover the mirrors so that their soul won't be trapped here and it'll be allowed to go wherever it's supposed to go. And so when we're using this analogy of mirrors, we are trying to identify which ones of those chakras got triggered and what is that emotion that's stuck in there. One other thing is, even when there's not just a broken mirror but broken glass, to me that's a sign that someone is feeling anxious. So if someone like has a glass and it breaks and it shatters, then I think that that person is having a lot of anxiety. And really, anxiety is this, I feel all alone in all of this. So that's why there's a need to control and feeling more anxious when you're out of control. And so it's really just feeling like there's no one here to protect me. I have to do this all on my own. And so we're going to be talking about using some of these examples to just kind of identify where you're feeling alone in any situation.
And with these mirrors, figuring out where you feel alone, it's important to see it first, but then to look behind the mirror. So you're going to be able to see it based on your triggers or based on where you feel without love in yourself and your being. But then step back and look with your true eyes, your true you eyes, and say, okay, that's where you can be objective. That's where you can look at the story, look at where it got created, look at why you're seeing it in your reality. But when you are looking through the mirrors, it's going to come through those mirror eyes.
So let's give some examples. Okay, so do you have one you want to use right away? You want to think about it?
We could use my landlady.
Okay.
So my landlord at my apartment, she wanted to come. We let her over last week. We're moving in 2 weeks. So we let her over. She's going to be moving in. So we let her take measurements. We let her have that, during everything that's going on. We let her come over. Everyone just wore masks. And then she asked to come over again. And that would have been fine, except we have all of our stuff out and we're packing. So I told her that we didn't feel comfortable having her over during all of this, just because all of our stuff is everywhere. And we just let her over last week. So when she responded through triggers, which was interesting. And, you know, initially I did get so upset about it, but I was able to step out of it eventually with your help. But the way that she responded was, I have every right to be here. So when I saw that, I have every right to come into the apartment. Legally, I was like, no, you know, there are things I can find online or through lawyers that say otherwise, but I just said, I'm sorry that you feel that way, you know. But when she said, I have the right to be here, it showed me where her mirror was. In her life somewhere, she feels as though she has no right to be a part of her own life. So when I saw that, I was able to have compassion and say, you know, I'm really sorry, but like we have to live too in this. But it was interesting to be able to have my initial reaction where I was like, are you kidding me? No. And I was able to stand up for myself legally, logically, from a place of understanding. Eventually, I had to wait to respond.
Well, I
of
would
course.
say too, like, so Melissa, she's a third eye girl. She does this all the time. So it's very easy. She's explaining the second half of this story, okay? Because she can take this one example, and there was first though a trigger for her in all of this, and she was able to see what this lady represented and brought into her life that even made her feel angry, scared, whatever it was. She was able to work through that part and see, oh, look, this is one of my things again that got triggered. But she never stops there. Like most of us will take those things that happen to us, and then we'll be like, oh yeah, they just reminded me that I don't like when people say that because I've been bullied, and that makes me feel again like I'm being bullied. And then we work through that, and then we can see, oh wait, no one can bully me. I have all of this stuff now, and a lot of times that's when we're done. We're done with everything. We took that experience, we learned from it, and when we stop seeing that being created over and over again, that's like, then we know we're doing good with that, because we don't meet that same kind of person over and over. When you don't do this work, then you encounter it over and over, and you're like, see, everyone's a bully. My boss is a bully. My neighbor's a bully. Everyone in the world becomes a bully because you never worked on that issue, and you never let that part go, that I get bullied, and never brought in the part that says I know how to stick up for myself. And I'm not saying that was her issue. I'm just saying in general. But Melissa has this third eye realization that also then brings this whole thing into, it's not just my issue either. This was hers, and this is her thing that got triggered. And now if I really want to mend this relationship, or let this relationship just have no power over me, nothing over me, now I can look at her part of it, and I can try to understand and make sure that I don't reflect back to her this thing of needing to be in control, or what was her thing?
Yeah, control.
And when you can do both sides of that, how beautiful, powerful, and healing is that for everyone. But until you work a little bit with using your mirrors, you should be very happy with yourself for just getting through part one. Part two is going to help expand this for the whole world. But I would, Melissa makes it so easy. But
it was really hard though. It was seeing where in me that got triggered was a whole journey in and of itself. I mean, this was not the first time that she's made me feel this way. Before she was, I mean, this has been happening. We've had the place for a year, so it's been on and off. I've had this trigger, and it wasn't until this final month, the final month that we're living there, that I finally said, no, I need to stand up for myself, for what's best, and for what's the best and highest good of me right now. Because of being able to see all the sides, I often lose myself in that. So the struggle for me was to be able to say, to insert myself into it and say, I also have a right as a human to be here and feel things. So these mirrors, our mirrors back and forth, our relationship, I'm so grateful for now, looking back at it now. And you could attest that in the beginning I would not have said thank you. I'd have said a lot more than that. But now looking at it, I can say, oh my gosh, I can see where I need to have compassion for you, because I can see where I need to have compassion for me. I can see through my true eyes now and say, wow, okay, this is something that not only affected me, but affected her too. Not just either of us either, this is a bigger issue altogether, but being able to have the perspective of true you really, really helps. But to get there, you do have to get comfortable working within your mirrors, working within the people in your life that are showing you what you are afraid of. Because we could do this work all the time and we're like, yeah, I'm not afraid anymore. And the last time that she came, I was like, okay, I can let it go at that point, And then it happened again. And I was like, come on, I thought I was done. And it was like, almost. You have to find this last piece, though. You got to put all the pieces together. So until I could, and that's healing, too, though. Healing, until all the pieces are together, we just got to work with what we got. So using our mirrors, using our family, our whatever's on the TV or the radio, what we feel about those things, those are going to show us where we have these parts that say I'm without love. And it's not just people. You could use anything in life that you want as a mirror. But just remember to incorporate what true you reflection would say too in that.
And that true you, again, is that that feeling that you get when you do work on all your chakras and open everything up and can be in that place of oneness where those little thoughts don't ping you anymore. Mm-hmm. It's a greater understanding of self. There's a lot of self-love, self-compassion, and then love and compassion for all. And in those moments, you can see your true self, who you are within this world and what you represent, and all of the goodness that came with your soul when you decided to be here. So there's a couple exercises that you can do, and I would say journaling is so great right now. So if you could just take an instance, a fight, or maybe there was a post on Facebook that really triggered you, or a comment that someone made on a post, and just write that down and start writing down the things like, this is what got me angry about it. This is what I didn't like about it. Whatever it is, those things that you write down are going to be some real powerful cues as to where to hone in on this energy. And it's the same as even when I'm asking people to describe their pain to me. And I'm like, really describe. Don't tell me 1 to 10 what it feels like, or like the medical terms. I mean, really explain to me. Like, if I just don't know anything, I just want to know what your pain feels like. And when people really start to tell me, it feels like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. The lightest thing is so heavy for me to lift. And I really start to get an idea of not only that physical pain, but the emotional and the spiritual pain that is connected to that pain. And it's really hard to let the physical pain go if the emotional and the spiritual pain is still there. There's still not enough flow through that part of the body to allow complete healing. We could get a little relief. So when you write these down, I mean, you just want to let it all go, right? Write everything down. See where that takes you. This reminded me of the time that blah, blah, blah happened. Try to get as specific with you as you can and go back as far in your life as you can when some of those things came up for you, because that's where it's coming from. If you want to heal from this, this isn't even it. The comment that someone makes to you, it's not, they didn't get you upset. That comment got you upset because this has been in you for a long time, and someone just like woke that up. And sometimes we have no idea that that's even there until it gets woken up like that. And that is where, you know, we do need all of these things to see that exists in there, and that's okay. But then it's how do we come up with a way to let that go, and then how do we fill that back up with all of the good stuff that we need? Affirmation statements work really well. And what I love about the remote scanning is they include affirmation statements for you. And so we could just scan and give you the affirmation statements that come up for you, and you can just reflect on that. You can just say them. This is where you could do some mirror work. So take some of those and stand in front of the mirror and see what that feels like when you say that. A lot of times those things are difficult to say or to hear as you're staring at yourself. But as you keep doing it, it gets easier and easier. It's like yoga in the beginning. It's like, I can't move like that. I can't do this position. And then after a while, it gets easier and it gets easier. So a lot of times we have to retrain our ways of thinking, because it's the bad thoughts that have taken over at this point. And those are the ones that keep getting triggered. And it's like, see, that's how life is. See, that keeps happening to me. But we're not understanding that it keeps happening because it's what we believe. And we see what we believe. So we really have to do a lot of work to shift what we're seeing, because that means we have to shift what we've been feeling this whole time.
Yeah. I did have something, I forgot what I was going to say.
I could feel your brain going.
Forgot.
Okay. Another thing too is, even with like people that we really love, I think of like my children. So I think of things that I want to tell them, because it breaks my heart for them to think that they are less than, or not good enough, or not pretty enough, or any of that. And I make them say, like, tell me you're so beautiful. Tell me you know you're beautiful. And then sometimes it's like they'll catch me and they'll be like, Mommy, tell yourself you're beautiful. And I'm like, oh. But this is, if you can think of all of those things that you would tell someone you love so much, if you can't say that same thing to yourself in the mirror, if you can't take that in, then you can't expect them to either. So if you want to even help the ones that you love, that's where a lot of this self-work comes in too. How can I teach people to love themselves if they can look at me and see that I don't love myself? It's too difficult to do. If they see that I go through and I do all of this work, then they're more willing to jump on board and do these things that we say. And if you believe that someone you love needs to find more love for themselves, then we all do too. And so you should do this for yourself so that you can do this for others.
Even with that, like, you know, our stories inspire people. So even the way that we overcome obstacles, or see ourselves in the mirror in our true reflection, that carries weight to it. So, you know, if you really love someone and you're like, what can I do to help them? Help you. You know, do your work in that same area, because just like the mirrors, if we're seeing it in our lives, we are seeing it in our own perspective too. We're seeing it because it's been created here first. So the mirrors are a direct reflection of the thoughts inside of our head. So pick a time in your life, heal that part, you know, look at it, see what it's trying to tell you. And then you can take even just what you've done in that couple minutes of work or whatever it was, you can take that to the person that you're trying to get through to and say, I couldn't even believe that this is what I saw when I was looking at this issue or problem or circumstance, whatever it is. And they can then take that and grow it to something else, whatever they need it to be, and pass it, and it can keep continuing to grow bigger and bigger. And that is what promotes that true you vision, because you can see yourself there. You can see yourself through the mirror and through true you. That helps clear the fog for the next person.
This doesn't have to always just be like, you don't have to always just take the bad or negative experiences too. Those are sometimes a little bit easier because we can see where we've been hurt in all of this, but you can take an opposite experience too, like even like a song, like why do you love it? Why is it your theme song? Like what is in it in that song? Because that's going to reflect to you a lot about what you believe, maybe the way you want the world to perceive you. And so you can still like dissect all of that and still figure out like, this is what I love in the world. Why do you love it? Because this is something I want the world to feel from me. I feel it in this song. I want the world to feel it from me. And then you can see that how sometimes you do these things to bring this love forward. And you can see still where sometimes you might get stuck. So if someone doesn't notice that thing that you're giving out to the world, you're giving it as great as you can. And when someone says like, oh, I don't need that, or I don't like that, it can break us too, because we're like, how can you not want that? I love that. I bring that. And so even from these like good moments, we can see where we might try a little bit too hard, or get hurt because we feel like my I love you is being ignored by the world. So you can use really any experience, even the distance with the mirror. So on the rear view mirror, it says, objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. Same with our life experiences. So if anything gets you as a, oh, I didn't like that, or oh, I love this, something close. There's something in your chakras that just got like boom, whatever that is. So you can use this whenever you have a mirror type experience, whenever you see just something that gets your attention in whatever you're looking at, hearing, feeling. You can go and do some reflection on that to see what just happened there. Why did that just get you going in either direction? You want to talk about the opposites?
Yeah, so with mirrors, the way that we see in a mirror is it's opposite. So even like this camera right now, I'm on the opposite side in actuality. What you guys see is me on one side, Veronica on another, but the way that it is in real life is we are flip-flopped. I'm on that side and she's on this side. And that's kind of how we're seeing too when we look in the mirror. And it's the same. It doesn't have to be just a negative thing. It could be a positive thing too. But what we're seeing are opposites, true opposites. So if we're looking, if we're taking a positive situation and we're looking in the mirror with it, we're going to see the situations that brought us there, the opposite situations that helped us get to this positive place. But it'll be everything that it took to get here. So that would be the opposite, the reflection. And the same with the negatives. So I'm looking in the mirror, I'm seeing something negative, and when you're doing that, and if you hear that start to go on, you know, God, I could look like this, or I could be this, opposite that. So take those thoughts, and if they are negative, find the opposite. See the opposite in the mirror. If it's positive, see the story. See how you got there, because it wasn't always just rainbow sunshine. It was something that helped you get there to say, oh, God, I love this thing. You know, there's a reason for that. So when we do these exercises and we see opposites, that gives you both sides of the perspective. So you are able to come to the middle point where you're looking behind the mirror, seeing through your true eyes. And getting familiar with that, working within your everyday life. Anytime you start to feel angry, triggered, look at it through mirrors. See it that way. It helps you to step out of it so that you don't get stuck in the story. But with the mirrors, always remember to look behind the mirror after you've done the reflecting, because that's what's going to bring you back to this present standpoint.
And that brings us back to heart.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where all of the chakras reside, in the heart. And all of the emotions and all of these 7 spiritual concepts, they all reside in the heart. And that's where we're trying to get back to, though life teaches us through these duality moments that we have, that we see reflected in all of our mirrors. It's so funny to watch us right now. Yeah, our camera is like
slow.
Yeah, so we look funny. Okay, so Greg Braden has a whole workshop talking about the 7 Essene mirrors. The Essenes were a group of people that really used a lot of wisdom, mysticism to soul search and find some answers. And so they talk about 7 mirrors to use. And so I just wanted to touch on these and just interrupt and talk about any of these if you feel as they come up. I'm not going to go too much into them, and some of them I might just kind of skip and save for another presentation. But the first mirror is the mirror of the moment. And that really is looking at whatever happens. Sometimes a client might come in and say something to me, and it triggers me. And I wonder, like, why did that just trigger me? I already know everyone coming in needs some love and compassion, and so I'm wanting to give that. But I have it plugged in.
Well, that fixed it.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's probably just a little loose. So I have to just stop for a moment and just ask, like, oh, okay, and go through those steps. What just happened? What was said? Why did I take that so personally? The other mirror that comes through is the mirror of that which is judged. And that will be probably a lot of the things that you see on Facebook, but really just it's brought up a lot of however we judge ourselves, we judge the world. And so if I believe that being lazy is a bad quality, and if anyone tells me anything that seems like, oh yeah, I just didn't get out of bed today, I decided not to do anything, then laziness might pop up into me, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how lazy. And after I explore that, it's not them that I really think is lazy. There is a piece of me that I judge with myself being lazy. So it doesn't matter if I work 12 hours in a day, I can still say I was lazy because I didn't get done the things that I set out to get done. But whatever judgments we have, that's how we judge the world. So when we throw out those judgments, you have to take a look back and see where that judgment or got created. The mirror of that which is lost, given away, or taken away. That's the third mirror here. And this is a lot. We do this whenever we do meditations, energy work. We ask that any power that has ever been lost, stolen, or taken away, given away. Basically, it's all given away. Why is it given away? Why do we give our power away? So we get mad at people or situations which take our power away. And that can come in many different forms. It can be that we feel someone was stronger than us and actually forcibly took it away. We can think that we were trying to be good and nice and we gave it away, so we gave it to someone. So it's like all of a sudden I have my favorite crystal and I love someone and I was like, here you go, and then they end up not being my friend anymore and now they have my crystal and I can't believe I gave that away. But this is like little bits and pieces that we believe that we have ownership of and that someone can actually take away from us. And if you do the work, you'll realize that you just call back your power. You just ask for anything that has ever felt like it left you come back into your body. We shift that into present time. Hi, Mark. And we allow that to come. And it's a very powerful. It's a very easy yet extremely powerful technique to fill yourself back up with that strength that you feel has been gone by whatever mechanism. The fourth mirror, did you want to say any more on that?
No, I think that's great. I like, with giving your power away, losing your power. These are, again, fear eyes. Seeing yourself through the eyes of without love. So when you call your power back and you fill yourself up with that true love, that true you love, you feel the difference. And if you play with that, we want to know, we want to hear too.
The next mirror, fifth mirror, is the mirror of mother and father. So we can do so much work on mom and dad, and I always say this is never to blame mom or dad. We asked mom and dad to be our mom and dad in this lifetime for exactly all of these reasons. So even if you journal like 3 things about mom that qualities you don't like, and then you write down 3 qualities that you absolutely love, you'll find out a lot about yourself and about how you see this world, about both mom and dad. For me, though, it's great to do that work on mom and dad because they're great mirrors for us. But this goes higher too. So for me, this also goes with masculine, feminine energy. So father would be connected to God the Father in heaven, and mother would be Mother Earth. And how we feel with both of those types of energies, and how do we allow those energies to be present in our lives? Is that some of what we're missing to feel whole, complete, and loved right now? And how do we get a better connection to those energies as well? The next is the mirror of your quest in darkness. And I guess they refer a lot of this to the dark night of the soul. But really, for me, that is just understanding this at a deeper level, like the first example that we gave with Melissa. So to me, like, anything can be a dark night of the soul if you go to the extremes of the meaning of that mirror and that event in your life, and really doing that work to see what got created in there and how can you release that. That's probably where more forgiveness is going to come in, and that's a huge other topic that we'll touch on maybe next week. But using some other tools to really help release that dark, and that's exactly what this is the fear is this darkness. How do we get light into there? Well, first you have to see what made that area dark and see why we've covered that up and hid that and not allowed it to be loved or put into the light. And we have to understand all of those things before we allow that to be loved and allow the light to flow back in there.
With all that, I always think of that quote, the only way out is through. And I thought the same thing with the dark night of the soul. It could be any moment. It doesn't have to be, from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I'm doing this work and I'm in my dark night or whatever, 6 months, whatever it is. It's whenever you are working on those parts of yourselves, the parts that go really deep, that you have to kind of dig to get into. But remembering always that because darkness, there is light. Because this opposite exists, so does its true opposite. So does the other end of it. So if we feel so dark and so dense, just remember there is another side to this, because we live in a duality structure. And doing that work, I would incorporate some citrine.
Beautiful.
This is a joy crystal. It's going to help you bring that light there. And I love this one.
I love that too.
That's a great one.
Another thing with that is a lot of times those things that we believe, those things that happen to us where we feel that love was lost, stolen, or taken away, when it comes down to it, you'll see that you love despite that. You love because of that. You give love because you never want anyone you love to ever feel in those moments where you felt darkness. And if you really didn't have that love, if someone really did take it away, how can you give it? So it really isn't. Like in our third world perception, these areas of duality, they don't exist. They only exist for us as measurement, but they really don't exist. And so you can't say, oh, I can't be strong because I was always weak. people always beat me up. But yet you then go on and you fight like crazy for the people that you love in some way, shape, or form. And it's like, where did that come from? If it was taken from you, where did it come from? It always existed. We block it. We don't allow that for ourselves, only for the ones that we love. And so as you do a lot of this, it's really just uncovering, and it's really seeing that these measurements that we have, they don't exist anywhere else except for here, but that's okay, because they're placed there for us, because that helps us learn and make sense of all of this. And then the last mirror is the mirror of self-perception. And that is, again, understanding your soul's purpose in this realm of things, and then really understanding, and that would be, again, back to Melissa's first example, where she really took that whole experience and didn't just do her own work, but understood where the other person was coming from too, and was allowed to release herself from becoming a mirror for that other person. So now this person, they might think like, oh, I have to keep fighting Melissa because she's the one that said no to me, and I'm going to make sure that one day she says yes, otherwise I'm always going to feel defeated, not in control. And once she recognizes that and has compassion, now she can no longer be the trigger for that individual as well, and it breaks that for her. And of course, if she doesn't do her own work, she'll find another mirror. But Melissa takes herself out of that and says, but I'm not going to be your mirror that represents something like that. I'd rather be a mirror that represents to you someone who had compassion. Is that lady going to take it as that for now? Probably not. She's probably going to have to go through some more things and more learning and understanding, but this will always be a part of her existence now. And when she does come to that place of compassion for herself, she'll remember what Melissa had truly given her. Alrighty.
And one more crystal for you guys. This is a surprise. Something new. It's labradorite. Just kidding, it's not new. But this is a really great crystal to work with when you're doing perception work. It's gonna help you to see the different sides of the mirrors, of the story, of the circumstance, of yourself. And it's gonna help open your third eye up so that you can get a deeper understanding. And I was gonna say that one too.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw this guy in too. So opalite has a lot of that same qualities as labradorite, the shimmering iridescence, but it helps to make the work lighter. What I love about opalite, not opal, but opalite, is that it's man-made. And one of the things that I love about that is that we make beautiful things. So man doesn't just come here to destroy this planet. We came here to love, and there's so much of us that is healing just by existing. And opalite helps us to see that, feel that, be that, and then to also be able to see that in every day. So opalite to me is like being able to still know the sun is out there even though all the clouds are out right now. And it's just to help make this work a little bit easier and lighter. It's happening either way. So either way, we're seeing mirrors, we're seeing reflections all the time. We're just not putting in the effort to see why it is what I'm seeing. How come we're all seeing something different? Why do we look at this world and have a different story about it? But if we learn to understand that, then we can help to give more love and compassion to the world where it's needed today. All right, well, I hope you'll join me on Saturday, 6:30 p.m. for the Crystal Bowls. And if you have any Reiki requests, please send them in to us. Or if you are a Reiki practitioner and you would like to help us raise the vibration, please let us know that too. All right, thank you, everyone. Love you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.